In this reading question category exercise, did you learn how to identify the overall structure prompt? And more importantly, did you learn how to answer the questions? So let's take a look. How do we identify it? The prompts generally look like the question as follows. There's a sentence cited from the passage, and then the question, which statement best describes how the sentence fits into the overall structure of the passage? That's a typical presentation on the SHSAT. On the SAT, they might ask you something like, what is the function? What is the purpose? Why did the author put this sentence there? On the SHSAT, that's not the general presentation. Notice the answers here also always begin with verbs. Provides, indicates, presents, begins. Let's look at other examples. Here again, read the sentence from paragraph 5. Here is a sentence given to you. Which statement best describes how the sentence fits into the overall structure of the passage? And it begins with verbs. Provides, summarizes, begins, shifts. Let's see another. Again, here's a sentence from paragraph 3 in this case of another passage. How does the sentence fit into the overall structure of the passage? Begins with verbs, emphasizes, presents, shows, indicates. Let's try another. The details in paragraph 1 contribute to a central idea of the passage by showing that Darabont believed, values, thought, understands, all verbs. Okay. In this case, notice there's not a line given, but it's a paragraph reference, and the wording is slightly different. Contributes to a central idea. Contributes to the overall structure. And on a more recent exam, again, the sentence from the paragraph, how does the sentence contribute to the structure and development of ideas in the passage? So contribute to the overall, fit into the overall structure, and contribute to the development of ideas. Those are key phrases. The indication of a sentence is a key tip-off that this is the question that you're looking for, overall structure. The verbs, it presents, it contrasts, it signals, it introduces. This all indicates you're looking at the overall structure prompt. Now, how do we answer these prompts? That's the key question. Once you've identified it, in overall structure prompts, like any function question, you want to understand the transition. So you should immediately be thinking of transitions. The transition from the ideas presented before into what ideas after. Take a look at our first example. From paragraph 3, early to mid-1800s, women left the constricted lifestyle of small rural towns and rural areas for independent industrial life. Which statement best describes how it fits in the overall structure? So I want to look at the transitions around this line in paragraph 3. Here, from the early 1800s, women left the constricted lifestyle of small rural towns. So what's happening before this or leading into this? Paragraph 2 is telling us how the city of Lowell was founded, that there were all sorts of factories built, and it describes them and the different mills. And then paragraph 3 begins the idea that the city's female workforce was significant. So we went from the existence of the mills and the construction of the town to the workforce. And it says, our sentence in question from the early 1800s, women left the constricted lifestyle of small rural towns. And then it goes into a description of all the different women that were in the workforce in Lowell. So what are we shifting from? A description of buildings, the actual factories, to a description of the workforce. A, it provides a transition from a description of the mills to a description of the workforce in those mills. Okay, let's try another one. Read paragraph 5. Career politician's path is seen as a benefit to term limit supporters. There's a possibility that Congress, mostly composed of newcomers, could severely affect policymaking. Okay, I want to answer what is the idea transitioning at this sentence from beforehand to the idea after. So paragraph 5 is the first topic sentence, and it's contrasting. While we have benefits to term limit supporters, there is a possibility that Congress is mostly composed of newcomers could severely, that is negatively, affect it. The paragraph before seems to be an indication of the ideas of term limits, and even goes to give examples of particular credible experts in favor of term limits. The paragraph after, in paragraph 5, cites relevant experts to indicate that term limits might not be a good idea for Congress, so the opposite opinion. So this sentence is sitting on a shift or a transition from the benefits or positives of term limits for Congress to the negative aspects of term limits for Congress. Let's go back to the answers and see if we can pick up on that. H, it shifts from the arguments for to the arguments against term limits. Again, the overall structure question is all about transitions.